Welcome to Toffee Blue View, your source for all things Everton. I am Gerry, joined by Max, and we've got Wolves at the weekend. And if you want to, if you take it this way, maybe you'd be depressed like Max and myself when we talk about the battle for seventh. It's very eye roll worthy, as Max just showed. Yeah, and but it's the reality of the way it is right now. They're a good squad. You know, they're quality, they're exciting. And they have some players. You know, it's hard not to look at their squad and think, oh, I'm jealous of some of these players.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and you know what you've got to contextualize is they're only just promoted.
Yeah.
You know, first game of the season, we came up against them, and you know it was almost this. You know, you don't know what to expect from them. But now, as the season's panned out, and it's an interesting one. Wolves being this strange project club that they are, Chinese money but heavy influence under George Mendes. Success is just translating onto the pitch. Obviously, they won the championship last year, and they conduced this style of football. I know they were quite rocky to start in the Premier League, and you know took a few L's. But some of these wins that they're coming out with, obviously, you've got the one that we'll look back most fondly at, the knocking Liverpool out the cup. We thought we'd take advantage of that, but Everton, of course, we didn't. But you know, they beat Chelsea, they beat Tottenham away. Like, they are an exceptional team, and they have got players that would walk into top 16s, I think.
Mm-hmm. They're currently 7th, 10, 5, and 9 with 35 points.
Yeah. If I'm not wrong, we've drawn one more game than that.
Yeah, we have 33 points, I believe.
Yeah.
Recently, they beat West Ham 3-0.
See, that's another fantastic.
That's a big result. You know, that is. I realize West Ham we're not talking about them being like, you know, a top 6 team. However, they're one of those teams in that middle glut. You know what I mean?
In the bracket.
Yeah. And they drew their recent FA Cup match with Shrewsbury.
Shrewsbury.
It is Shrewsbury. See, I've heard somebody say Shrewsbury, and so they were from England. And I was like, I'm gonna play with the pronunciation and see how I do this. So see, phonetically it looks like Shrewsbury, but I tried to get fancy and be like, oh, I heard an English person say this.
No.
See, this is what I get. But then, and before that, the 4-3 win over Leicester.
Yeah, that was an absolutely incredible game. I remember watching that.
It was match of the week, and we sat there as a family and watched watched that, and it was great. It was just a good game, and the idea. My pedestal, you ready? The idea that Nuno gets a red card, gets dismissed for walking down the sideline and walking on the field a few steps and putting his hand and rubbing one of his players' head and walking off. He got dismissed for that and sent to the stands for that. I will say, I think that's dumb.
Yeah, the officials are just looking for the spotlight sometimes, I think.
It's just another example of maybe the top 6 treatment being a little different than the rest of the league.
Possibly.
Just saying. That's silly. Possible starters. We know Rui Patricio is a solid keeper, Portuguese international, just a solid player with a lot of experience. Bennett starting on the right, Cody in the middle, Willy Boley on the left, probably going with that 3 in the back with wing backs. Doherty on one side, Dendoncker and Neves in the middle, Johnny on the side. Just like saying that. I don't know. Matinho kind of running that number 10 role, center mid. And then you've got Raul Jimenez, the Mexican player who we were connected with when Walsh was here. but Benfica was quoting us an astronomical price. And Diogo Jota, I don't know if it's Jota or Jota because
Jota.
Yeah, it's Jota because is he Portuguese?
Yeah.
That's why, or yeah. So the pronunciation would be Jota. That's what I thought. Who got a hat trick?
Yeah, against Leicester, was it?
Yeah, I mean these are and they're danger men. Obviously, Ruben Neves, Jimenez, and Jota. There's your
Jimenez is banging them in, isn't he? Got two against West Ham, and he's been scoring consistently throughout the season. And as you say, he's one of those players you'd love to have him. You'd absolutely love to have him.
Yeah.
But it just seemed, it's getting to that point. It just wouldn't come to Everton. There's no reason for him to come to Everton.
Yeah, well, at least not right now.
Yeah.
I think he did want to come to us when we were interested, but we were the prices they were talking were way high for what his situation was, and I think we chose Cenk Tosun instead.
We'll see.
I mean, it was going to be like the difference of like 15 million. So
yeah,
that's a big
what we've
difference.
Been with money lately. So yeah.
I think in hindsight, everybody's like, why didn't we do that? But back then, he was doing nothing for Benfica. Nothing for them. And was going to cost 15 million more than Cenk Tosun, who had actually looked very solid in Champions League. And it actually, so, hindsight, I get what we did, but then you're kind of like, damn, he looks good right now.
Yeah.
Jimenez looks so good. He just connects so well. He combines well with so many other players.
The system of the wing back is like it works so well in the team. The squad of players that they've got, it works so well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think Doherty's a really underrated player out of them all. The way he bombs on and gets crosses into the box, and it just by nature creates opportunities for the likes of Jimenez and Jota, who, they may not look it on the eye, but physically, very strong and very quick players.
Mm-hmm. Other names that I immediately am drawn to, I'm like, Den Donker. We're familiar with that name, aren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, how many different windows were we connected with him?
I know. I don't put, as you know yourself, I don't put stock in the amount of bloody names we get linked with.
Yeah.
Well,
it's just the idea that this team is just chocked full of those names.
Yeah. Ruben Neves is just absolutely sensational. I've been banging on about him since I think he captained Porto when he was 16. And I don't understand why the rest of Europe didn't stand up and take notice at that time, because for the age that he is, he's just so good.
Yeah.
And you pair that with the experience of Jan Moutinho in centre midfield, and it just worked really, really well.
He just seems to be a player, though, that he gets forward. You know what I mean? Like, and I almost think that that leaves them a little bit vulnerable on the defensive side. If he's getting forward that often, I think counterattack is possible as long as their wingbacks, because their wingbacks would have to be forward as well. You know what I mean?
Forward. Yeah, well, as you've seen, they do concede a lot of goals. We're going on about them like they're the best team in the world, but they're not. They do concede a lot of goals. But then you look at Everton. Are we going to create the chances that are necessary to take advantage of that? That's a different story. What approach are we going to take? Are we just going to swing balls into the box? We don't know. We don't know who we're going to roll with up front. It is a very peculiar one, because obviously for the Huddersfield game, he made 5 changes. So it's almost as if after that Millwall game, he's just kind of seen the team sheet and went, right, here we go, starting again. So you don't know what approach he's going to take for the Wolves game. You'd like to think he'd carry on with the likes of Tosun, who, showing like they're going to play really well, and Davies. But as you say, you've got Idris Gueye, who might possibly be coming back into the squad, which I don't think there's any doubt about it. I do think he'd start if he was to, not go to PSG. But it's a tricky one, because you don't, after the last 2 months, January and December in particular, you just don't have much faith in Everton, do you?
It would not shock me if Davies starts alongside Andre Gomez just because Gay's head may not be in the right place.
Mm.
You know? And if you're the manager and your player has put in a transfer request, if that's true, which we have no idea, at the very least, it seems clear that he does want to go. And you've just recently had a game where the player who would be replacing him played well, then there's going to be a temptation for Silva to play Davies.
Yeah,
you know what
I
I mean?
hope too. Yeah.
Part of me does as well, you know, because if he just continues playing well, then it's ridiculous to bench him, right? What's the basis?
Exactly.
Mm.
I'd like to say, I'd like to think the fact that he came in replacing Idrissa Gay, that may be a good sign, and you come in at the side and like, listen, you've got to do a bit of what Idrissa does. You've got to chip in and do some sort of a similar job to what he does. And as we said earlier, responding to the game, that second half performance, he really did put a good defensive shift in.
And Sigurdsson as well. Actually, I feel like he led the team in tackles during that game.
If he did.
I mean, have we said that ever? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like and that's him also picking up the Ghana slack. You know, if we take the same approach, I don't know. We may get. I always worry about our team speed when in the center when Davies and Sigurdsson start. It's not. I mean, they're not blazingly quick. And you've got playing against some players here in Neves and Moutinho in the middle who are quick players and quick thinking. But I don't know. I think that's. I feel like we could end up seeing some very similar names on the team sheet come Saturday.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, what's your prediction, Max?
Oh, 2-2.
You 2-2. I picked that as well. And if you pick that and I pick that, then it's definitely going to be a 6-0 win for somebody.
And I know it's a repeat of the first fixture, but it just looks like one of them games, doesn't it, where there's going to be goals.
I don't necessarily trust us to get a clean sheet.
No.
Having said that, I don't know that I trust them to get a clean sheet either. And so, I don't know. I don't see a lot of evidence of one team being a lot stronger than the other right now. So, yeah. So basically, with a little bit of positivity, if we had drawn on Tuesday, I think I would have picked a loss in this one. Because that would have just been everybody is infected with the melancholy. But a little bit of positivity, playing at home, possibly some, Jink Tosin getting the crowd riled up, that would be nice. I guess we'll see, but that's it for our Wolves preview. Yeah, and this is our last video segment. So if you want to pop over to the podcast, Max and I are going to be talking about United States football in the U.S. And I'm going to give him a series of topics and just kind of let him pick. It could be Christian Pulisic, could be Almiron to Newcastle, could be U.S. national team, could be MLS draft system. There's just a lot of stuff, and we'll see what Max wants to talk about, and we'll just kind of go from there. But for now, if you've been digging the videos, thanks so much. Please subscribe to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel. Yeah, it'd be great if you did. You'd be a lot cooler if you did. Check out Max on his Twitter profile. He'll tell you where he's going to be, when he's going to be there, all that kind of hot stuff. But additionally, he'll be on the Toffee Blues website, so check that out, please. He does a lot of analysis there. And that is it. So we're going to move over and just talk and not have our faces recorded. So we're going to do that. Yeah, let's get 3 points this weekend, by the way. Bye.